What's going on, everybody? Evan here with Evan's Detailing and Polishing. Everybody's been asking for a cattle bumper video, one of these big cattle pushers. I started it already, but I got thinking about it midway through. I got Lacey on the camera over here, my youngest daughter. She's in here doing media for me now, so I figured good a time as now as any to talk about it now.
All right, everybody, I'm really sorry for that, but this framing rate isn't quite right. But I had Armando sanding on the front of this bumper before we got started in the morning. So here he's just trying to work all the angles and all the different systems and sanding in areas that we can't get into, but we're only sanding the front. The sides were actually pretty decent on this, and the round tubes were actually pretty good. But you'll see him here in a little bit. He's going to be mixing a little bit of rotary and random orbit. And we actually only started this one at, I think, 400 grit and 600 grit. And this whole sanding process here took him about an hour total, but I time-lapsed it down to the 4 minutes. But as you can see, he's trying to keep the sander flat and just working all these little areas that are real rough. And he didn't even have to sand all the way up because the whole front wasn't terrible, just the bottom part. And in a second here, you'll see me pull the camera back to get you a better angle. And I believe there in that little break, he went and grabbed a little bit of heavier grit sandpaper for the driver's side that was a little bit rougher. Which leads me to believe that this guy spends a lot of time in the hammer lane. And now he's just hand rubbing all the little corners to try and ensure that we have everything full sanded, so when we go to buff it, it'll come out real nice and clear. And this is the 600 grit, so he's going to keep going until he starts seeing a little bit of a shine already. And as you can see, he didn't really use a whole ton of sandpaper. But you can see the shine starting to poke through from the sanding, and that's when you know it's ready to cut.
So I got my microphone inside my respirator here, so I'm just going to keep talking to you while I'm polishing. But I always start with the back of the bumper first. As you can see, I polished here, and I'm polishing the back side of the tubes. I'm going to go down into here right now, and I'm going to have her just follow me along while we're doing it. And I'm just going to kind of work my process through. And you guys can just kind of follow along and watch and see my exact process. But I'm going to work this down, and then when I flip the bumper back up, I'm going to work it back to it, and then I'm going to blend my seam together. And then eventually we're going to hand polish quite a bit of this and then come back with some color on it. But I shove my buffer into every place I can get it into, and then any place I can't get into, we hand polish, right? Same as always. I'm going to get down into all these little nooks and crannies here. So I'm working all the flats and all the edges I can get at right now. And any place I can get at from the backside. Because once I stand it up, it's a lot harder to reach, right? So, for me being tall, this is a lot easier. So now on these big flats here, I usually like to go in two directions. So I'll go across this way. And this one was actually pretty rough. I had Armando sand the front of it yesterday to prep it and get it ready for us for today. We got 2 rough trucks to polish today. And since I can't get up against that edge real good, I'm just going to go on to the next one, and when I turn around, I'll catch that edge from the other side. And since the front side isn't polished yet, standing in here and rubbing up against the back side of these isn't a problem because I'm going to polish all of them anyways. So now if you see real close on these edges here, you can see I got a misline on that edge because I didn't want to grab that edge and pull it. Everybody says, how do you know when you run out of rouge? Nice little tidbit is here. You can see where I cut, but you can see the mist spots in here. So I know my rouge dried out. But that right there, you can see it real good in the camera. So I'm just going to put a little more rouge on and just recut that. And I'm just going to turn around and recut that whole same area, just going in the opposite direction. So that I catch the opposite edges. And I'm not going to need as much rouge this time, because now I'm just touching up the edges, and there's excess rouge on there already from when I cut across the other way. So I'm just picking up that leftover rouge and just dragging it across and cleaning it up. But I do all this backside stuff first, because as you can see, the cord's dragging on the front of the bumper here. And if we had already polished that and done that later, it would have all been scratched up and scuffed up from the cord. Now on these edge pieces that stick out in the open, I don't just go across them, I go actually straight down them. So I go across them to start, and then I'll come down them to straighten up my hash marks. Because like I said in the hash mark video, I want all my hash marks to be straight. And especially since these are exposed, sticking out to the outside. When you're doing stuff like this, always be really mindful of where your extension cord is, that you don't get your extension cord or your grinder cord caught in the grinder. A lot of times I'll tuck it behind my leg. All I'm doing now is just trying to tuck my line over that front, so when I go to polish the front, I don't have to come over the back again. But now, if you'll notice, I didn't do in here like I did on the other side. Reason for that is I'm going to color it now. And since I'm coloring this back part, I'm going to have to drag a cord across somewhere. So I'm going to do that on the other side. So when I'm dragging the cord across, I'm not messing it up. And then when we flip it up and do it from the front, we won't have to worry about it, because we're going to clean all that up. Now I'm only going to do the flats in the backs of these rounds with the color, because a lot of the insides I'm going to have to cut again anyways, but I want to color this so that I don't have to open it back up again. So even though I cut all these bars across, I'm coming back and going straight down them because I want to straighten those hash marks up, right? We always want these hash marks to be as vertical as possible when we finish. Because as we all know, vertical hash marks look better than the horizontal ones. Okay, so that's the back. All the parts that we couldn't get, the kids will hand polish. Alright, now for the best part, sitting in a chair. But as you can see, my buff here has gotten really small, which is good for getting in those nooks and crannies on the back, but I'm actually going to swap this out for a different one that's a little bit bigger. So now we're going to start working all of these. So now when I do the front side, I like to start on the outer edges first. I like to do these flats here and work those first so that my chasers and my hand polishers got something to start with, right? They can start working over here while I'm working on the rest. So I'll start at the bottom and work my way up. Now you'll notice I held it by the head that time, but it's because of the angle of this bumper that I needed to get in there. Now I'm holding it back by the body again like I normally do. Now this customer specifically isn't looking for perfection, he's just looking for a shiny bumper. He knew this bumper was pretty bad and there's some really rough, deep scratches in here. So we didn't sand it crazy, we only sanded like 320, 400, 600 I think on the front. Just so that we could make it not white. So now usually if I've worked on something this rough, where I had to use a lot of rouge to get up it, I'll come back and hit it one more time. Just put a second cut on it, just to kind of limit my rouge lines a little bit. Come back and do what I call a cleanup cut. Cleaning up all the excess rouge left behind. So now I'm just cutting along this weld and working this edge up in the corner here. So when I go straight up, I can just go straight up and not have to worry about that corner. But that corner's pretty rough, so I'm gonna put a little fresh rouge on there. There we go, that looks better. Now if you watch the way I angle my buff and flare the buff, I'm trying to clean it up so I don't fall off the edges, right? And I call it wagging the tail. There we have the side, nice and clear. So now I'm just going to repeat that same pattern all the way down the side here. I'm going to do down in the flat first. Do down in this little edge. That's going to be the hardest part to get my buffer into, and my buffer is going to slap up against that bottom piece and the top piece. So if I do this first, I can clean up the little nicks and dings and scratches I get from the buffer. I'm going to turn around and come back. Okay. Armando did a great job sanding on this. Just gonna polish up really, really nice here. I see that Levi over there is done with his tank, so he's gonna start too. And he'll start cutting and working his way in this direction. So what I did was I went in like this, and then I did this lower.
Okay.
I went in like this, did this part first because your buffer's going to bang into here, and then all I did was held my hand and kind of cradled it. I cradled it and worked this way, and just kind of shark toothed it.
Okay.
And that.
I'll grab a handle.
Yeah, if you need a handle, grab one. I don't need one. I'm good. I don't need no handle. So this front here is really stone chipped, dinged, and rough. Even though we sanded it, it is still rough. So what I like to do on these is I'll cut them in 3 sections, and then I'll come back and cut them in 1 section. Then we'll come in here and break this up into 3 sections, just so that my rouge doesn't dry out as I'm going across my pass. And then, like I said, I'll come back and hit it one last pass. It's got a pretty good shine already. Actually, I may have lied. I don't even need 3 passes. I could do 2 passes here. One that way and one this way, as long as I don't grab the edge of that hole. Yep, that'll be good. Now, like I said, I'm going to come back down. I'm going to hit this all the way across one pass. So to blend up my line, I don't want to leave a transition line on here. And if you don't know what a transition line is, check out my shorts. I've uploaded a short called Transition Lines, explaining what they are and how to stay away from them. Oh yeah, this bumper's going to be beautiful when it's done. Really, really cut and taking the rouge nice. Now if you're doing these side pieces and you bump that flat, like that, see this little line right here? You're going to end up having to come back and hit that again. So, normally I don't do that, I did it to show you guys, but it does happen. And it's easy to clear that up and fix it. Alright, so now on these fronts that we've sanded, I'm going to go across them sideways once to lay some compound on. I want to make sure I get those edges real good. So I got that edge there. Now I'm going to turn it around and catch the other edge. Once again, you don't want to leave it like this because you'll leave a transition line. But I like to lay rouge on so that when I go up it, I can leave a nice seamless line all the way up. And if I've rouged up enough going across the sides, I should only need to rouge up one time coming all the way from bottom to top. I was right, one rouge all the way from bottom to top. Let my trigger fall. And let the buffer just kind of die off at the top so that I can transition that from the bottom to over the top of the corner where I stopped when I was on the back side. Now if you have two people working like Levi and myself, I'm always mindful of where he's at to make sure my cord doesn't swing into him. So when he's coming this way, traditionally I'll move the opposite way, or I'll tilt my buffer away from him so that the cord won't go towards him. Now I'm going to flip my buffer and blend up this little edge here that I didn't get. Now the inside from the front on this side here, I'm going to run my buffer in. I can smell it. The same thing on the sides here. I came down. Levi's got a grinder on fire over there. There's a common occurrence here in the shop, but as much as we use these grinders, but now I got to clean up this little bit of mark that I left. I'm just going to cut across this one last time to clean that up. We want the frontward facing stuff to look as clean as possible. There, nice and cleaned up. Now if you look here, it's all really nice and cleaned up. There's no transition lines, everything's nice and smooth. In here, I'm gonna have to, on the side here, I'm gonna have to hand polish that to get rid of some of my transition lines so when I go to color it, I can color it all the way to the back. So now we're just going to repeat that same process all the way across the bumper here. I'm going to break up this middle section into a couple sections and then come back and turn it into one section. But traditionally, I like to start on the sides because I know they're going to rub into the front. And if you've got a different style bumper and it's really tight in here, What you can do is get yourself one of those inoxes in some of our mini buffs that we sell on GoTryOn.com. Those mini buffs are great for in here, which I'm actually going to grab one because my buff doesn't fit all the way in there. So I'm going to cut all the rest of this and then come back with that mini buff and catch the parts that I couldn't get. Even though I'm cutting sideways, I'm still making sure that my pressure and my overlap is good because I don't want to relax on my pressure. If I relax on my pressure, I'm still going to miss spots. And going straight up isn't always going to just fix that. As you can see, I can reach a whole lot better with my left hand on my body than my right hand on the head. So I have to break up this into two different sections. Now, since that section is smaller and I got a bunch of excess rules, I'm just going to fill this in over here. And now you can see I'm maxing out and hitting. I'm going to have to use my inox and my mini buff. Back in the day when I didn't have a mini buff, I would just come back, hand polish that, and just shove the white wheel in there as best I could. So now even on these taller bars, I should be able to rouge up once and use the excess rouge that's on here to make it all the way from bottom to top. So now that I'm getting close to being in Levi's way here, in a minute I'm just going to leave that last bar for him to catch, unless he moves over to the other side. I got a lot of trust in him, he's got a lot of trust in me, that we're not going to slip off it, ram into each other. If we were going to slip off, we have exit strategies. Now, like I said, I'm going to break this up into a few different sections because it's really dry and really white. I'm going to get a good sand on it. And then I'll come back and put a finish step on it. Now I can see my cuts drying out. I'm gonna catch that with a mini. I'm gonna catch it with a mini. A little bolt sticking out there, that'll be interesting. Now that's one cut in 3 different sections. Now I'm going to come back and put a second cut on it all the way across. think I might have to put one more cleanup pass on this yet. Yeah, I'm gonna put one more on it. It won't hurt it. I lightened up my roofs this time. Went with a lot less of it so I can do a cleanup pass on it. Now I'm going to do this top piece last, because working above your head is tiring. Working above your shoulders, above your chest. Anytime you're working this high up, it drains a lot out of you. And you don't want to lose your pressure in the bottom part. So do the bottom while your arms are strung. And finish up with this stuff at the end. And once again, I'm going to break that up into a bunch of different little sections up top, only because it's so rough. And then I'll come back and do a finish pass on it. So now I'm going to go end to end and walk this out. This thing is so dry, I'm going to have to rouge up again. And then I'll have to come back one more time and do my cleanup pass. And on my cleanup pass, I don't even need excess rouge because there's plenty on here. I'm just going to go dry and clean off the last little bit that's there. Alright, so now I'm going to grab the mini buff. And this is our inox with the mini buff on. I'm going to get into all those little cracks and crevices that I wasn't able to get into with the big buffer. And this has got a clutch on it, so if I get bound up in something, it's going to release and shut itself off. So it's super handy for those hard to reach areas. And it's a lot more lightweight and portable. It's a lot more comfortable to shove into awkward places. And I don't need a ton of rouge because when I was going in with my big buff, I left a rouge line there, a pretty heavy rouge line. So I know some of you in the comments are going to be saying, why didn't you do both sides of the bar as you were going across? Because me, once I find a comfortable spot, I like to do all of one angle at the same time. Because once I find a comfortable spot, I want to stick with it. And if I switch hands and keep moving to different positions, I never get a chance to find myself into a comfortable spot. Just like everything else, once you find a groove, you're going to be a lot faster and a lot more efficient once you get yourself into a pattern and into a comfortable groove. Now we're going to put all hands on deck here and start hand polishing everything so we can color it. Just these bars get hand polished. Inside, inside, nothing outside. So just the insides down in here where we can't get, and then inside, inside, and all the bar. Okay? So while they're hand polishing, we're going to start coloring on this side. You want Daisy to help you? You want Daisy to help you? Grab her and just show her where she needs to hand polish.
Daisy. Here, hand polish.
So with the white wheel, it's the same exact process. We're just going to go through this bottom here. But now I'm going to try to make sure that my hash marks stay straight vertical. So now to keep my vertical line here, I'm just going to feather my trigger on that edge so that my buff still stays straight, but it slows down enough to drop in there. Daisy, you want to hit right in here real quick? That's good. So now I'm just buffing right over the top of her hand polish. Just helping that work in and taking it off. So like I said, I'm trying to keep all of my hash marks straight vertical. I got a really rough edge here, so I'm going to go back and just re-hit this side here. Now the only area I can't keep my hash marks straight is in here in the flats. So I have to go in, because otherwise the buffer is going to smack into these bars. And then it's going to leave a goofy pattern anyway, so I'm better off going straight in and then cleaning everything else up straight up. Woo! That's why buffer control and trigger control is a big thing, because if you catch that back edge, it's going to suck that buffer right in just like I just did. I've been doing this for 27 years and I don't do a whole lot of bumpers, so when I do, I almost always catch an edge. No. All right, so that's how we do one of these cattle bumpers. All we got to do is take some hand polish, get in the little nooks and crannies on the back edges where we couldn't get yet, wipe everything off, and we'll show you the final result here shortly. So here's the final result. We got it nice and clear. They're still wiping off all the little nooks and crannies here, but while we're doing that, I'll show you kind of what it looks like. Well, you saw the before. Had no reflection at all. Now we've got real nice clarity on it. Way more than the customer was expecting. He just wanted shiny. Turned out we got it real nice and shiny. a little shameless plug in there. Armando's wearing the old school Evans shirt. But yeah, for those of you that have been asking for a video, I know it's 60 minutes long, but walked you through every bit of the process while I was doing it. Hopefully you guys could see it all. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next one.